Bang, 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 bong. She home. What? I know. Yeah, I only just got back. She's only been out for 5 minutes. She'll be really frustrated because she's just come in. I'll get them in later, don't worry. What? It's, it's alright, she's mama. She'll understand. I don't know. Up here. It's alright. Mama will understand. Oh, wow, 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 wow. Hang on a sec. Bunkerfishing.com. Yeah. Wonderful. Asleep on the kitten while the kitten is awake. It's like human life killer. It's like, what is going on? Ah! Watch out. That's the first time I ever saw it. He just ran up on the news. Last two would be.
Oh, you bastard.
Don't get it.
What?
You think that was it?
I thought you shouted at me.
He was. He did it twice, and then I did it twice. The two would be.
I thought you shouting at me.
But, yeah.
Shout. Hello.
Want something custard tart?
Yay.
Should have some later tomorrow. What?
Charlie was like, oh, you're picking up Debbie. She's been for the roundabout, but she gets out just after job. She's been the other door, but she could be next door. So, oh, and I saw the function go, and she left us in the function go. And I was like, Penny! Penny! And so she's the one that's got rheumatism, she refuses to speak Spanish, she'll speak to Charlie. So, I saw her, and she worked with Josh, she's on the roundabout, and Charlie's just like, she went next to the bar, and then Charlie's looking at her, she's like, come on, and then it's just... I'm a terrible person.
How's the update going? Joseph. What?
In the first intergalactic war alone, the bugs accounted for the deaths of 189 million super-Earth citizens, many of them babies. Don't let the bugs kill babies. Fight the good fight.
Allied destroyer has joined squadron.
Right, we've got a squad. Squad.
Oh, there's two now.
Hello.
Oh, there it is.
Squad. Alright. How's it going, bro?
Real good. I'm happy about this football win.
Oh yeah. Yeah, mate. I didn't see the end. I was at work and then I had to leave halfway through, but I didn't see it. But they did. But they did do a win. It's good.
Yeah, it's just we get to enjoy a final now. We get to enjoy a Sunday
Yeah.
of celebration. Well,
I mean, I mean, goal in the 90th minute. That must have been fairly exciting.
yeah, exactly. Because obviously everyone thinks it's going to go into extra time all the time. You know, so
Yeah.
bloody hell, another half an hour of this shit. You know,
And then it's
like,
like,
yeah, it's like we definitely won now.
yeah, mate. I just like because one of the guys at my work, like one of the guys we support, he was watching it, and I wish I could have seen his reaction when they scored in the 90th minute. Like I feel like he would have fucking lost his shit. But I wasn't there to see it.
He would have leased his vows. Leased.
Yeah.
What do they call it when they let an arrow fly?
Yeah.
They're like loose.
Loose.
That was nice.
Loose your bowel.
Everyone knows what you mean.
Yeah. Evacuation. Alright, shall we go to Tom's ship? He's just logged on now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Finally, taking his time.
Yeah, he had to have a chat with Rose or some bollocks.
Oh, did he?
I don't know. Yeah, I came on about half an hour ago and he was like, just give me a minute. And I was like, alright, and it's been 40.
Damn. Just give me 40 minutes.
It's alright, I've had shit to do anyway, but I'm prepared now. But yeah, I'm gonna. I have to join him through the PlayStation menu because my friends list still doesn't work. So
Allied
I'm just
destroyer
gonna.
coordinates received.
Hang on, what? Allied destroyer coordinates. Oh, is that you going there? Yeah, cool. All right.
Allied destroyer has left squadron. Allied destroyer coordinates received.
La la
Initiating.
la.
Allied
Yeah,
destroyer
I was
has
watching
joined squadron.
a science video on YouTube like a fucking nerd. But yeah, I have been drinking wine and whiskey. So I'm still on the same vibe. But
Still on the same trip.
I forgot to mention. Andy told me you can't come on the stag.
Yeah, man.
No.
Humanity.
Why?
Show you care.
Yeah.
Enlist.
It's a pity. It's a confluence of a few things, but
The automaton.
yeah, man. Looking forward
Confluence.
to the wedding.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Sorry. Only 25. Only 25. Fine. Got to put the whiskey in my fitness pal. Otherwise, you don't know how fat you're being exactly when you drink it.
You measure the calories of your alcohol.
Yeah.
I suppose you do if you're drinking pints of beer, because that's like equivalent to like fish and chips or something like that. Like 1 pint's equivalent to like a fish and chips.
It's not like that extreme. A pint's like about, depending on the beer, between like 200 and 300 calories. So it's not like
Really? Okay,
not
it's
crazy.
not as extreme as the fish and chips then. Maybe
no,
half a portion.
I mean, if you had like a regular fish and chips, that's probably like at least 1,000.
Oh
Like
man.
big. That's the thing that people don't realize, that like a big like rich meal from a business that cook it for you
Yeah.
is often like insanely high. Like, could you eat? I bet Tom. I bet you could eat 3 double cheeseburgers, no problem, from McDonald's,
Easy.
right?
Yeah,
Easy.
mate.
That's 1,000. That's
Yeah,
1,320 calories. That's
How much?
That 1,320. That's more than half of what the average male needs in a day.
Yeah.
3 double cheeseburgers.
More than half of what you need in a day.
Yeah, so yeah, because the average male, like you're taller than, both of you guys are taller than average, so this wouldn't apply to you necessarily. But average height male, say they're like 5'8",
Yeah.
they need 2,500 calories a day.
Yeah.
What about if you? What about
A
if
double
you?
cheeseburger is 440. Go on.
What about if you like come a lot in the day? Will that increase
Bless
your? Will that
No,
increase your
no, no.
nutritional
Do you know?
needs?
Do you know what does happen if you spend a lot of calories doing one thing? Do you know what will actually happen? Are
What?
you ready for this? You'll fidget less.
If you what? If you spend a lot of
If you
calories.
if you do
Oh, I
something
see what
that
you mean.
expends a lot of calories, whatever it is, right? Your body will attempt to balance that out by fidgeting less.
All right,
Fidgeting less.
Yeah, yeah.
man.
So like if I don't work out for a couple of days, I get mad disco leg. Can't
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
jiggling my leg. But if I've like worked out hard, I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Your body works really, really hard to keep the amount of total expenditure the same each day.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's also interesting is sorry, carry on. I'll say it.
I
I'll
was
say it
just
after.
going to say this one last super cool thing. The mechanism by which you fidget less, it also makes you do stuff like blink less
All
to
right.
save calories. Yeah, that's why dieting's so hard.
Yeah.
Because your body's
Fit-
like, oh no, there's less food. Quick, get really tired all the time and don't do anything.
I think that's.
Fidgeting's. Yeah, sorry, Joe. Go.
No. Carry on. It's all right.
I was
I'm
gonna say.
done.
I was gonna say fidgeting's a really strange thing because like every human being fidgets to some extent, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't just sit there, like but it's funny like you know when you're fidgeting a lot, you know when it's like too much, like you notice it or you know there's a sort of average amount of fidgeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
You
And when you become conscious of it, you're like, oh no, I'm acting weird now.
I
Now
think
I know
Sam
that I'm
Harris
acting weird.
I think Sam Harris was talking about it in relation to meditation, and he was saying like we all fidget and move and everything. It's like if you actually want the most painful experience ever, it's like just sit still for as long as you possibly can, like without moving, right?
Tell yourself to not move. Yeah.
Except it's Sam Harris saying it, so it's more like, okay, so the most painful experience you could possibly imagine would be if you had to just sit still. And so I want you to do that. Okay, great.
Just
Well
like
done,
sociopathic Bob Ross.
so Sam Harris has just got the ultimate like boring lullaby voice. Like he will send you the fuck to sleep. And I'm really interested in what he has to say, but I can't listen to his podcast like full length because I have to pause it because I get tired.
All right.
His voice is so
I'm
soothing.
the opposite. I listen to his podcast I listen to each episode like 3 times. I like really revise it.
Because you couldn't take it in the first
guy.
time because you're falling asleep, man. No, I rate the ideas. I'm exclusively critiquing the delivery. I'm not saying that the ideas are bad. The ideas are not only interesting, they're
It's because
really at the
he's an
forefront.
asshole.
Stuff like the free will stuff is just like really at the forefront of moral philosophy and our understanding of consciousness, and what he's trying to do with like bridging the gaps between different parts of science. Great. He's got Trump derangement syndrome, like he thinks Donald Trump's the Antichrist, but like apart as an atheist. But like loads of people, man. It's everything is basically fine and normal most of the time. I don't know why everyone's acting like it's not.
That's interesting. I'm just gonna grab a drink. I'll be right back.
Roger.
Let me hear.
I mean, we've got the dream team here. Should we go straight in on Impossible?
Oh fuck! Yeah. I'm gonna
The
need
orders switch back to bugs though.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Nah, that's all right. To be honest. Oh, did we
actually-
liberate that X-45 planet?
Yeah. So we got the battle station plans. Those battle stations, I think, are going to be clan bases.
Oh, all right. Excuse me.
There was do you mind me telling you information about leaks, or do you not want to know?
Oh, I don't give a fuck. I'm just here for the experience.
All right. So there's been leaks where like you can make clans called platoons, and it's basically like our WhatsApp group chat in the game.
Yeah.
and they previously said before way like probably like a month before this current major order, they said that clans are going to have their own space stations where you can kind of like hang out and chat, and then groups of 4 of you can go out and do missions. So you can, if there's 5 guys online, one person sits out each time, kind of shit. Like deploying from the space station.
I mean, the missions will be the same, but you can have like up to 16 people in a hub, I guess.
Exactly. But the point is that like the social aspect of it, and first, there's lots of stuff in the files which won't get used, but it's too much effort to remove it from the files. So a lot of leaks you can't take on face value.
Right.
But when they then say, "Oh, we've got the blueprints for the battle station now," it's like, ooh, it sounds a lot like that leak. That rhymes with that leak about clan space stations. I wonder if, right? So, it's not like, it's not like a sure thing, not by a long stretch, but it's cool. And then the rocket launch, the quad rocket launcher, it's off again now, but it should be coming soon in probably the next update. The next major order is gonna be bugs, but like how many medals do you guys have each?
I'm maxed out.
I'm maxed out as well.
Yeah.
Right,
I should spend them right now.
Yeah, well, you should because like there's no major order. The personal order is kill 3 Bile Titans for 15 medals. I'm maxed out with nothing left to buy, so like I at the moment there's no major order. I can just go and fight bots if we prefer it. But if you guys need medals for anything, then
I can't. Unless I buy 292 credit things, I can't use any anyway.
Bro, you should definitely get the. I mean, you've tried. Do you not like my primary weapon? Actually, you've used it when I've died before.
I just haven't got used to it. I'm sure it's great. It's for me because I'm not used to it. If I pick it up and have a go on it, it's like we usually do quite hard missions, so it's not the situation to kind of like.
Bro, but it's like you don't even need to shoot stuff in the head. You can just shoot it in like the shoulder and it will die.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And have you got things to spend medals on, Tom?
Not really. Probably because I've only bought one DLC package, which is the Viper Commandos.
Nice.
But I'm kind of I guess if and when I do unlock that, then it will be useful there.
Right. So
I'm totally about the.
If you're capped on medals now, then there's no benefit to you of doing something that gets disproportionately more medals at the moment, right?
Yeah, no, I'm all about the what do you call it? Samples.
Sample, yeah.
I've been about the samples from day one,
Yeah.
I mean, if we're about the samples, we should play on lower difficulty missions and farm samples.
Fuck that.
Well, okay. Basically, because there's no major order at the moment, it's genuinely open-ended. Do we want bots or bugs?
I'm in the mood for bots, I think.
Bots?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't mind it. Either way, I'm all
Rose is just asking me with her eyes if you guys heard her fart. Then did you hear that?
No. But now we know.
No, she just like let one rip, and then I looked over at her, and she was like looking over at me like super embarrassed, like. Hear that? So I thought I'd ask.
Nice.
I did detect a small disturbance in the force.
You're good. No one has
fucking eardrums out, mate.
No one has a clue. Right. Give me 1 minute. I need to deliver a piece of egg custard tart to Rachel.
Yeah, so Rory shipped stuff the other day and no one noticed.
What?
No, he didn't.
I mean, that's the sort of thing that a big brother would say, and it would be true.
Yeah.
You fucking shoot yourself, mate.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
The truth.
That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Have you tried DMT? Muted
Alright, so
myself for a second.
we've got a snowy one. Obviously, we're going straight in on impossible because we're three absolute fucking experts.
Yes.
That's the spirit.
That's what I want. I want to be. I always want to feel like I'm one step away from death. You know. We're
Yeah.
at that level.
I prefer that level of challenge. Yeah, definitely.
I've been surprised
All right.
actually. Like the learning curve, like we've really improved. Like just in general, like all of us. You know.
I watched this video which had a really clickbaity title, which sounds like the exact kind of thing of like, why the fuck are you watching that? Which was it was like how to be successful at anything, and literally even the top comment is like, number one way to not be successful: watch videos on YouTube about how to be successful at things. But this was like a creator that I watch a lot of their videos anyway, and I was like, oh, like this looks like an interesting title. It was one of those rather than like looking up how to be success, which is a bit more depressing. And they were talking about how basically like you do it. The way to get good at literally anything is you have a bit of a knack for it, like you enjoy it and you're like okay at it naturally, and then you do it loads. And the crucial thing is that when you're doing it loads, you're paying attention to what works and what doesn't work and trying shit out, not just like going all in on one way of doing it every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Probing.
and that it turns out that that's like a perfect description of how we've played this game naturally anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like, oh, I'm gonna give this a try, guys. Like, all right, yeah, you do this and I'll do this. Like, we're talking about it. We're talking about what does work and what doesn't work, and the tactics are like evolving through discussion over time. Like, so yeah, you would expect that like it would get better, and it's real nice.
Yeah, there's been a lot of knowledge transfer from, like, for example, yourself to your team as well. You know what I mean? Like, oh, do this like this and beware of this, and like a lot of like knowledge transfer that would speed up if we were just
Yeah,
playing single.
but sometimes people are then saying back to me, oh, when I do that, this happens, and then it's it all feeds back on itself. But like I don't know, maybe this is like way more normal for a lot of people, but like there's literally nothing I do where I'm part of a team, like
Oh,
at
right, in
all.
general, yeah, yeah.
Like in
Lone
my
wolf.
life, it's not even. I wouldn't even describe it as that. I would say that like I don't have the like mental equipment to experience the feeling of fitting in, like which sounds really tragic, but I don't mean it in that way. I mean that
Wow,
like
I
I
really
have,
want to unpack that for half an hour. Like, that
I
sounds like a really
they
interesting.
I have a group of friends that I know that I'm like a part of, and I'm not a tagger on. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that like that's all legit, but like I don't think I've ever, wider context, I have a really difficult time putting words to my emotions anyway. It's one of the bonus features of autism is like it's really really difficult to describe how you feel even if you do feel it. But like I don't think I've ever felt. I think, or maybe the only time I've felt like a sense of belonging is when I've been on MDMA, and like never in normal life, including playing Helldivers with this team where it's very clear that like I'm an important part of the team and whatever. Still, it's like I don't know what the feeling of belonging is. I couldn't recognize it if you injected my brain with
You think
something that made
that's
me
a
feel it.
you think
I don't
that's a
know if I'd be able to name
autism
it.
thing then?
I think that difficulty like naming your emotions is.
Sense of
I don't know about
belonging.
not. No, I don't know about not feeling it at all. It's just that like yeah, really difficult to. You end up giving like a really like long-winded description of the emotion, and you're like, "Do you mean joy?" And you're like, "Oh shit, yeah, it is that one. Fuck yeah!" Like it's like that
No, I
kind of
mean
thing.
you can have individual joy. You know, you can have moments of joy in your own
No,
private
yeah, no,
things, but
I'm using that as like
I
a
don't think it's
different
quite the same thing.
example. I'm using that as a different example. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that joy is the same thing as that. No, I definitely I know what that one is. Um,
I think belonging is almost like a sort of feeling that you're like indispensable. You know what I mean? Almost like feeling like, yeah, I really am part of this whatever, and I'm not in danger of being kicked out. And
Yeah, no, no,
unless
no.
I do
Do you
something
know what? Oh,
sociopathic or
that's
psychopathic.
that's so illuminating. Like that second part, that's the bit that's missing. I don't being like I'm not in danger of being kicked out. Like no,
Yeah.
I've never, ever experienced that ever.
Yeah, you know, like,
I've never thought that about myself.
yeah, yeah, that might be it. Yeah, you know,
And
it's
it's
like
because
in a
it's always just
family.
like I don't know. It's just kind of like, well, you know, I could fuck something up so badly that like everyone I knew turned against me. Like that,
Yeah.
that's possible. Therefore,
Well, with extreme, with extreme men like us, there's always a possibility.
yeah.
Always one, always one step away from the beast within.
No, that's
But
a
I think
Jack's
that's,
problem.
but I think that's you have to harness that beast, if you're gonna. It's like Jordan, the great Jordan Peterson says, you have to be. I'm a lot. I mean, look,
You're a stealth Jordan Peterson fan, man.
I am, yeah. Like I think says a lot of intelligent things. I think he has a very literary way, which I can relate to about looking at life and the way things work. He just when he talks about the wisdom in the Bible, I understand where he's coming from, and that, and
Yeah,
like wisdom passed along, and that was a vector and means of passing along wisdom. I just basically the difference between me and him. I mean, there's a lot of differences, but a big difference is that I'm not a Christian. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a religious person in that
but
sense, whereas he really does
he
believe in God.
doesn't. Well, I don't know though. It depends. It depends who's asking him. I find that's one of the things I find so strange about him.
I think in his
Is
heart he believes in like a literal God.
so I think the opposite. I think that he doesn't believe in a literal God, but that he thinks that belief in God is like good, is beneficial for enough people that
Yeah,
he like promotes it. Do
yeah.
you know
There
what I
was
mean?
there was a thing I heard. I have to try and remember what it was, but basically it was like Christianity has been the most effective, or religion, has been the most effective means of reaching like the widest group of people and passing
Hmm.
on moral lessons and messages to the
Incredible
widest group of
marketing.
people, in terms of like from the most privileged to the least privileged,
Yeah,
from like the stupidest to like the most intelligent. Like it's been the most like efficient in messaging like across the board. You know what I mean? Like
but
as a
I can give you
cohesive.
I can give you like a kind of like another example. So like if I'm making like a let's say a rational scientific to the best of my knowledge, which is obviously extremely limited, um, like a rational and scientifically based view of the world where I'm going to prioritize evidence over conjecture, and I'm going to understand that evidence is evidence that supports something, which is not the same as a totalizing proof of something, which is
Right,
abstract.
right.
I teach statistical hypothesis testing. So, like, let's say, for example, you took a coin and you flipped it 10 times and you got 10 heads in a row, right? I can answer the question of how much you should believe that that coin is biased versus it being a fluke. And I
Uh-huh.
teach teenagers to do
Okay.
that, right? And so, like, that from that perspective, I think it's extremely unlikely that human beings have any semblance of free will at all, and that
Yeah.
the universe is essentially like a movie, and the elements that aren't deterministic are, as far as we can tell, random, which is we have just as little control as if it was deterministic. That being said, for the majority of people, the belief that they're in the driver's seat and that their decisions matter and that they can, through will and discipline, change their life for the better will literally change their life for the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, believing that thing, which I think is false, can, like, it can't just like change people's lives. It can like revolutionize things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and it's almost, I would say that like internal locus of control is like the a unifying feature amongst successful and happy people that you don't see among people that are like really struggling. And even I act as if I have infinite willpower and I'm always choosing, even when I'm probably just like not really choosing and succumbing to like lack of sleep or a bad mood or whatever. I frame it like I'm deciding to do this for these reasons because I'm in fucking charge and I'm gonna continue to steer my ship, because I think it's good for me. And it's like human understanding has reached this point now where we're like, oh, free will probably doesn't exist, but like, oh, fucking hell, it's really good that we believe it does. And like, God probably doesn't exist, but oh, it's really good that we believe it does. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like the thing that's outdated is this like, I search for truth. Like, okay, some truths are extremely fucking impractical, and you just kind of need to like separate. There's like how accurate something is a separate category from how truthful something is. And I think that we're watching Jordan Peterson, who spent his whole life, because he's like a fucking boomer, he spent his whole life, I'm searching for truth. And now he's having to contend with the fact that,
Mm,
like, contend with the fact that actually truth and usefulness are not correlated.
yeah, that's an interesting take on his current sort of state. I think obviously we could talk forever about Jordan Peterson, right? There's a lot of interesting facets. He, I do think he gets like tarred a little bit too much in general from the left, but and I do find him interesting and making interesting points. I mean, it's the same reason why I flatter myself. It's the same reason I would hope that Sam Harris finds a interlocutor, right? Even though they don't share the same views or beliefs, they still go on these tours together, right? They still have these interesting
But
conversations.
yeah,
They still.
do you remember that first podcast where they just like got into a
Oh, I
fucking
love that.
2 hour argument
That
about the
was true.
definition of truth?
Yeah, I've listened to that about 4 times. Love it.
And I mean that debate is kind of like a foreshadowing the thing I was talking about, though. It's just like the way that Jordan tries to resolve it is by saying
Mm.
no, what's true is what's useful.
Yeah.
And Sam's saying like no, they're separate, but the thing that's true is more important than what's useful. And it's like you're
Usefulness is
both
a
wrong
Yeah, yeah.
for
human
different reasons.
usefulness is a human observation of a truth. Like a truth is not because it's useful, is it? Truth is like it's just
Yeah, but
information.
we're saying let's say that God doesn't exist, but believing in God had like loads of psychological and social
Oh
benefits.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
That's
I heard the
literally
whole thing you're
believing
saying
something is
about free
bullshit.
will, and I
Yeah.
completely agree with that
Same
because it's
thing.
like free will doesn't exist, but we feel like it does, and that's enough for it to drive us.
Yeah, and the it like the I'm too stoned for this. Oh, what was I
It
saying?
was it
Anyway,
was between truth
Yeah,
and
no,
the definition of truth and stuff. Like,
yeah. Like the oh man, I can't even remember. It was something to do with that when they were arguing about oh yeah, telling your kids that like skunks were poisonous so that they didn't get skunk spray on
yeah,
them is
yeah.
another
Or the
example.
oh,
gums.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It will keep you alive and the species alive, and it will keep the story. Like it's
yeah.
it's
That's kind of like
Oh man,
lying for the greater good,
what was
isn't
I
it?
saying?
It's like,
Yeah, and that's 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 why I don't think that Jordan Peterson actually believes in God unless he's in the way that he sort of like alludes to.
espouses. Yeah, because he
yeah.
would he would he would he would say that there'd be a god looking after humanity
Mhm.
So you think he's
in ultimately.
So if you ask me if I believe in God, I would say yes, but I would be using an extremely niche definition of God, which is like the universe is actually one object and we're all constituent parts of that object. And so that one object, which is the universe, knows all the things that can be known and does all the things that can be done.
Yeah.
And therefore it's omniscient and omnipotent and
Yeah.
eternal. So God exists and you're part of it and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the universe, right? Like that's my like did too much acid in 1 year take on God existing. But that's not what people mean when they say God. And I fucking remember the thing I was going to say as well, which is, do you know who Alex O'Connor is?
No.
He's a YouTuber. He's got a channel called Cosmic Skeptic. He's got like a philosophy degree from Oxford, and
Oh
he
yeah,
makes YouTube videos.
he's got really black hair. He's got
Yeah,
like a
and
beard.
he's done a few like where he did one with Jordan
Oh,
Peterson.
yeah,
He's
he's
done
in
one with he gets
Sam
invited
Harris.
on Modern Wisdom a lot. He's done one with Sam Harris, done one with
Yeah,
Richard
yeah, yeah.
Dawkins, and he said that like he had a really interesting take, which was just like, so rationality is like the way that you get to the truth, right? And humans have evolved the ability to be rational. But the thing is that we have situations in which we can demonstrate that what's true is not actually what's helpful evolutionarily. For example, free will, belief, God existing, etc. Right? So,
Nuclear
is
weapons.
human rationality even rational? Or is human rationality an evolved mechanism to determine what is useful and tell yourself that it's true?
Yeah.
So you can't even trust the concept of
Well, we have
rationality
I love
because
this.
rationality is an evolved quality for survival,
Well,
not
yeah, right.
a way of determining the truth.
So he had this guy on, and he was talking to a philosopher who was like, "Yeah, basically, I think that it's not a good idea for humans to exist, right? It's not a good idea to be alive, right?" And he was quizzing him, like, "Well, are you depressed? Are you this? You know?" And he was like, "No, just I did put it through the moral calculus, and just on balance, it's like life is suffering, and it's better if we never existed, right? Like we were never born."
Jesus Christ.
And then the guy, like Sam Harris is trying to find all these different ways of like rebutting it. And then the guy says to him, "You see, well, you have an existence bias, right?" which is if you think about it, it's kind of like part of this argument,
That's
which
the
is like
most
about
philosophy
rational,
thing I've ever heard.
because it's like if you're a rational being, it's like you're over privileging